Well, speaking of the Sun Sentinel,
We have beef.
big newspaper beef yesterday.
Wow, showdown.
The Sun Sentinel reporting that the Dolphins were exploring trading Xavien Howard, or they had received calls, and then the Miami Herald kind of disputed it, and then even Pro Football Talk comes thundering in. It was almost like an Anchorman brawl.
It really was. It was like a huge rumble. Yeah, Omar Kelly reported yesterday, and this is straight from the story. It says, according to a league source, the Dolphins are fielding offers for Xavien Howard, who has pulled down 4 interceptions in the past 4 games. 16 interceptions in 39 games since 2017. A source said the Dolphins have already have an offer on the table for Howard and are seriously considering moving the 27-year-old before the NFL trade deadline, which is next Tuesday at 4 p.m. The Dolphins then put out a statement that says, we are not exploring any trades regarding Xavien Howard. And I think didn't they go on to say that the Sun Sentinel expressed poor journalism?
Yeah, that's what the Dolphins said.
Seemed a little bit strong. It seemed a little bit
Why? If it's not accurate, nor has it ever been accurate, why would you have to want to deal with somebody just writing a story because?
A couple reasons. One, Omar Kelly has been covering the Dolphins for a while, and I know people like to take their shots at him. I don't feel like you have details like that and you're just making it up,
Right.
like willy-nilly. And second of all, it sounds like you're going so hard in the paint the other way that
there must be some truth to it.
There's some, and it's not like there's no truth to it. Like everybody else, it said the Herald said at least 2 teams have called about Howard, but there has been anything. They say there has not been anything serious in trade negotiations as of Tuesday afternoon. The Palm Beach Post also reported that there was Xavien Howard. I saw like random blogs saying there was Xavien Howard. So it's not like they weren't coming from anywhere. I mean, maybe they're coming from Xavien Howard's side. I don't know.
Right.
But either way, so these guys are so the Dolphins go hard in the paint on the Sun Sentinel, and then you got this Florio, this fire starter, who's calling the Herald a bunch of charlatans. He's saying that they're basically being told by the Dolphins to make it go away. I was like, whoa, Florio, you're hanging out with Chris Sims a little too much.
Wow.
Yep.
In hell.
Yep. In hell. In hell.
You know, there's nothing I enjoy more than a bunch of guys going at it, right, that have no intentions on doing anything.
No fisticuffs?
No.
Barry Jackson.
Here.
Barry Jackson.
Like, that's what I love about. See, that's what I love about. If we were to have, or in any sport, we were to have this conversation in the locker room, there would be a confrontation, right? Oh, you got something to say? You know, because you would have to. But here, they just word it up, go back and forth, and then boom.
You don't think that if this was the old school days, like if everybody was at the team facility instead of in their homes Zooming, you don't think there would have been a rumble?
Oh, that somebody would have called out the reporter?
Yeah, like you don't think that like Adam Beasley would throw a trident?
The only person that if I were that person, I'd be upset is Xavien Howard. Like, I don't have enough stuff to think about, right? Football's hard, right? I don't have enough stuff to think about and get ready for. I got to have this in the back of my mind because somebody wrote about it, right? I hated being dragged into a conversation because somebody wrote about it. You understand what I'm saying? That's a terrible spot for an athlete because what happens is one person will come to you. It's like, guess what? How many people are going to Heat people talking about the asterisk that Pat Riley was talking about, and they have the whole thing taken out of context from the start?
Oh, I mean, yesterday was.
You
so
see what I
bad.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it's
don't bring that
unbelievable
up right now. Like yesterday it hit the national media's TV shows because
right now knowing the reality of what was said and what was meant, how do you feel that within 24 hours that thing is national,
took off like
and
wildfire,
and nobody cared to get the meaning of it?
It's gonna be a fun week, man. We got ourselves 2 a week here. We got a little bit of a lull in sports. Inter Miami is in action tonight, but all focus really is on the Dolphins for the rest of the week because
no Canes this week.
No Canes this week. The Canes are on a bye.
Oh, the bye week of death.
And this is a big one, man. Everybody's got to be Jones in the seat. Tua Tagovailoa. It feels like Sunday feels like the first Dolphins event in a long time, where like you are sitting down, highly anticipated. What is the guy going to do? Honestly, like I don't even know if he can. It's going to be interesting to see like what will satisfy people as far as expectations are concerned, because I do feel like people are just so happy that he's out there. People were so the night he got drafted felt like a party. Sorry, I spoiled that for you guys.
Oh yeah.
But just everybody, it was finally. It felt like the Dolphins gave the fans what they wanted, but also it seemed sound. Like you took a really talented guy, and now you get to take on this guy who can be the face of your franchise. And it's been a while since the Dolphins have had just an actual star that has captivated the nation with with relevance. I mean, it's been so damn long. Like they've had really, really good players. Most of them have been on the defensive side, but an actual star who can put up points in an offensive game these days where, that is king at the most important position. If Tua comes out here and he does big things for the Dolphins, it feels like it could bring you back to a level of prominence that you haven't had for a long while because, we talked about this week. It's been annoying the fact that the Dolphins mostly have been dealing with embarrassment and that people almost seem programmed to see what's going to go wrong with the Dolphins. Now, they haven't done a lot to divert. I mean, they have had a lot of embarrassing stuff happen to them over the last 20 years, between, Bullygate, all the firings, all the things that have gone awry on their field. I get it. But, these, even when they seemed like they were doing something sound, which was trying to rebuild last year after winning more off seasons than anybody in the history of off seasons, and they tried something different. Even last year, it was just like, the health concerns, you're putting people at risk. It's like, who gets treated like this? And like most people, when they get to rebuild, rebuild has been around forever. And most people just get to go about it and go about their business. Nobody cares. Jets, nobody cares. Everybody's like, oh, take it for. Now it's cute. Now everybody's like, oh, take it for Trevor. Oh, take it for Trevor. Oh, go out there, take for Trevor. Now even Trevor Lawrence is so sick of it. He's like, hey, maybe I'll come back. Maybe I don't want to go to the team that you. He's so sick of tank for Trevor. But when the Dolphins were doing tank for Tua and basically doing it for 2 years, they were a bad franchise. So. Now you have it again this week where it's like, all right, you dealt with all the weird stuff during the tanking season where everybody was mad at you saying you were ruining the health of players and that you were putting people in jeopardy. Then the Dolphins make a switch at quarterback and they're like, oh, mutiny's coming. It's like, what? And so the hope is that Tua comes out here and maybe isn't the savior of the season, but can just shine a light on Miami that gets you excited just about Dolphins football. And it doesn't have to be all the other BS, because with this team nationally, it's been nothing but, oh, the Dolphins are in the news. Well, how is that circus going on? Like what's going on over there with that zoo? I'll
give you a perfect example about this is when the season started, everybody said about Burrow, oh, I hope he doesn't get hurt. That offensive line is terrible. So you had some of the same things. I think it has to do with, how your team has done in the past. The team hasn't had a lot of success. So a lot of this negativity comes towards this team and this franchise because they haven't been winning. Because guess what? Justin Herbert has gone into the game, but the success that San Diego has had kind of gives them a pass on making this decision.
LA.
I mean LA. All
right. No, but even still, like the Bengals last year got to tank in peace. Nobody bothered them. Nobody gave a rat's ass how they were going about this. And with Burrow, part of it is also, Burrow didn't have the durability issues that Tua had coming into the year. So I get that. Like, he doesn't have these past injuries, but it's just the hope for Tua is that he can take all, and it's a lot of pressure, but you hope that he can take the stink off of the franchise, because clearly there is a reputation where everybody skews negative to the Dolphins no matter what. It's just it nationally, that just seems where it goes where it diverts to. And I'm sure that's got to be frustrating for the Dolphin.
It is. Here. One of the reasons why I get so frustrated by it is this. Everybody was so hard in the paint early in the beginning of last year. And it should have been this franchise and this coaching staff and the head coach should have been showered with apologies.
Yep.
Right? Like, I knew what was going on. And I said at the beginning of last year, I have never seen a team have this many roster moves the week of the season. And if anybody else had paid attention to that and had mentioned that while saying all the things they were saying, it would be more acceptable, because they're giving the reasons why, these things are happening. But they just all went hard. They're going to do this and that and whatever, about how bad the franchise is and this and that. And now it's like you can hardly hear them talk.
Well, and now it's the same thing where it's just like, well, they start him. I mean, this is good. They're going to lose respect immediately. Well, can the guy go play a game? Can he go play a game?
No, I look. Here's the other thing. I said the same exact things that they said, but I also followed it up with reasons why they made the move. And if you understand the reasons why that they could make this move in spite of the fact that Fitzpatrick has been playing well, then you understand it as a football move. Okay? Like, we all thought before the season, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Tua's going to start after the bye week. Circumstance presented itself. The bye week got moved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I told you, I noticed that deep ball wasn't getting deep. Some of those passes didn't have the zip. You saw two passes that Tua threw, and the one thing you noticed was, whoo, look at the ball get there. One on the run and one in a tight little spot there to get the first down.
Yeah, and the other thing that was funny about it is people didn't believe that, like, the ownership didn't have anything to do with the move. And I was like, hold on one second. Hold on. Let me get this straight. Stephen Ross is as weak to weak as it comes when it comes to this dude. Remember, he gave Philbin an extension just flat out for beating a team at the end of the year one year.
Yep.
Like, Philbin is the guy sticking around. I'm like, really? We thought Philbin was on the outs. He's just like, nah, Philbin's that dude. And so I have a hard time believing that after Fitzpatrick has those 2 weeks that Stephen Ross is calling down on the bat phone and be like, should play Tua, especially in a season where he can't pack the building.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. But everybody has to look at it and say, no, there's something nefarious going on here.
How can it
weird?
I don't believe there's ever, with how the Dolphins have done things, I don't think there's ever an underlying motive behind it. Like, what Flores has done since he's gotten here, he's been pretty straightforward with it, with how he's doing things and how he's going about things. And if they decide to make the change, I'm like, hey, man, this guy's done good by me so far look, he's going to get a couple of free passes just for the simple fact of how he turned that season around last year. And people were complaining about that. Let's not talk about the people outside of Miami.
Right.
The fans were complaining that he turned it around.
Don't you think, too, that he should have some credibility with fans and his locker room, even if everybody is, because he made the switch? Like, they kind of dabbled in that, let's see what he's got last year with Josh Rosen. And then he's like, all right, enough of this. Let's go try and win some games with Fitzpatrick. You know, if maybe he just genuinely thinks, hey, Tua's going to be better than the guy.
If he's always coming from the place that he appears to come from, right? Then you have a situation like this in the locker room. You may not agree with how your guy was treated, but you respect the hell out of the coach and you understand, right? You can function like that. Mm-hmm. You can function with you don't necessarily like the decisions that your coach makes, but you respect your coach, so you roll with it. You can respect that. If you have a coach that's two-time and talking out of the side of his neck, doing all kind of double talk and saying one thing with this guy, another thing with another guy. If you have a coach like that, then when these decisions have to be made, then it comes across differently to your team. I won't mention any names because I don't want to get you started.